The stars were quiet in the corridor. This stretch of space sat between three different alien empires, and nobody owned it. Ships passed through every day, carrying goods and people from one world to another. It was supposed to be safe. It was supposed to be neutral ground. Captain Miriam stood on the bridge of her ship and watched the stars through the main window. The UHMS Nightingale was not a warship. It carried no guns, no missiles, no weapons of any kind. Instead, it carried medicine, bandages, surgical tools, vaccines, everything a hospital needed to save lives. The Crimson Cross painted on the hull was visible from 100 kilometers away. Every species in the galaxy knew what that symbol meant. It meant the ship was here to help. It meant the people inside had chosen to heal instead of fight. Miriam had served on medical ships for 20 years. She had seen plagues that killed millions. She had walked through battlefields where the dead outnumbered the living. She had held the hands of dying soldiers from a dozen different species, and she had never once picked up a weapon. That was the oath she had taken. Do no harm. Save everyone you can. Trust that the universe would protect those who protected others. Sometimes the universe kept that promise. Sometimes it did not. Lieutenant looked up from his console. His face was pale. Captain, I'm picking up a ship on sensors. It just dropped out of faster-than-light travel about 50,000 kilometers away. Miriam turned to look at the display. The ship was large, much larger than the Nightingale. Its shape was sharp and angular, like a knife made of metal. She recognized the design immediately. Raider, she said, her voice was calm. What's their heading? They're moving toward us, Captain, fast. They were a warrior species. They came from a cold, dark world where strength was everything. Their society was built on conquest and honor, and they had little respect for those who would not fight. To them, a ship without weapons was not worthy of protection. It was prey. Miriam had dealt with pirates before. Most of them backed off when they saw the medical symbols on her hull. Attacking a hospital ship was considered a crime against civilization itself. Even the most ruthless criminals usually avoided that line. But they were not criminals. They were soldiers who had decided that the rules did not apply to them. Open a channel, Miriam said. The communication officer nodded. Channel open, Captain. Miriam straightened her uniform and spoke clearly. Vessel, this is Captain Miriam of the United Human Medical Ship Nightingale. We are a registered hospital ship operating under the Galactic Conventions. We carry medical supplies for the colony on 4. We have no weapons and no military personnel aboard. For a moment, there was only silence. Then a harsh voice crackled through the speakers. The translator turned the alien words into English, but it could not hide the amusement in the speaker's tone. Human vessel, this is Commander of the Fang of Conquest. We are aware of what you carry. Your cargo will be ours. Prepare to be boarded. Miriam did not flinch. She had expected this. Commander, I must warn you that attacking a human medical ship has consequences. I am not threatening you. I am simply telling you the truth. Laughed. The sound was like rocks grinding together. Consequences. You have no weapons. Your warships are 30 cycles away. What consequences could you possibly deliver? The consequences are not mine to deliver, Miriam said, but they will come. They always do. The channel went dead. Lieutenant's hands were shaking as he worked his console. Captain, they're launching boarding pods, 6 of them. They'll reach us in 4 minutes. Miriam nodded slowly. She looked around the bridge at her crew. They were scared, but they were not panicking. They had trained for this. They knew what to do. Send the distress signal, she said. The quantum beacon, make sure it gets through. Already done, Captain. The signal is out. Every human ship in 3 sectors will know what's happening. Good. Miriam pressed the intercom button that connected her to the entire ship. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to be boarded by raiders. I need everyone to remain calm. Do not resist. Do not fight. We are medical personnel and we do not raise our hands against anyone, even those who threaten us." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "But I want you to remember something. We are humans. We come from Earth, a world where everything tried to kill us. Our ancestors survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and disasters that would have wiped out any other species. We are still here because we learned to endure. We learned to wait. We learned that the patient hunter always catches its prey." She looked out the window at the approaching boarding pods. They were small and fast, shaped like seeds falling from a tree. "These raiders think we are weak because we do not fight. They think we are soft because we chose to heal instead of harm. They are wrong. We are not weak. We simply made a choice. And when this is over, they will learn what happens when you threaten humans who have made that choice." She released the intercom button and turned to her crew. "Everyone to your stations. When they board, cooperate fully. Give them whatever they want, but watch. Remember their faces. Remember what they do, because someone will be asking about it later." The boarding pods hit the hull with a sound like thunder. Metal screamed as the pods cut through the outer layers of the ship. Emergency alarms filled the air with red light and noise. Miriam stood in the center of the bridge and waited. The door exploded inward. Soldiers poured through the gap, their plasma rifles raised and ready. They were tall creatures, covered in dark scales that gleamed like oil. Their eyes were yellow and cold, and their mouths were full of teeth designed for tearing meat. The squad leader pointed his rifle at Miriam's chest. "You are now prisoners of the hegemony. Resist, and you die." Miriam looked at him without fear. "We will not resist," she said. "We are healers, we do not fight." The squad leader made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Then this will be easy." Miriam said nothing. She simply smiled, very slightly, in a way that made the translator stutter as it tried to convey the meaning. It was not a smile of surrender, it was a smile of patience. They did not understand. They would not understand until it was too late. But they would learn. The cargo bay of the Nightingale was the largest room on the ship. Normally, it was filled with crates of medicine, boxes of surgical supplies, and containers of food meant for hungry colonies. Now it was filled with soldiers. Dr. Samuel stood in the middle of the bay with his arms crossed over his chest. He was a tall man with dark skin and gray hair, and he had been a doctor for longer than most of the soldiers had been alive. Behind him stood 20 of his medical staff. Nurses, surgeons, technicians. None of them carried weapons. None of them were running. The squad that had taken the cargo bay spread out in a circle around the humans. Their plasma rifles hummed with energy. Their yellow eyes moved from face to face, looking for signs of fear. They found none. The squad leader, a veteran named Al, stepped forward. He was confused, and that confusion was slowly turning into anger. Every other species he had ever raided had cowered before his soldiers. They had begged. They had cried. They had offered anything to save their lives. These humans just stood there, watching. "You will tell me where you keep your most valuable supplies," Al said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones scraping together. "Medicine, drugs, technology, everything worth taking." Doctor did not move. "The cargo manifest is available on any console. We will not hide anything from you. Take what you want." Al stepped closer, trying to intimidate the human with his size. He was a full head taller than, and his muscles were thick cords of power under his scales. "You are very calm for a prisoner." "I have been a doctor for 40 years, said. "I have seen things that would break your mind. A few soldiers with guns do not frighten me." One of the younger soldiers laughed nervously. "He is bluffing. Humans are soft. Everyone says so." Turned his head to look at the young soldier. His eyes were dark and steady. "Soft," he repeated. "Yes, I have heard that before. Let me tell you something about humans, child." He took a step forward. Al raised his rifle but ignored it completely. "We come from a world called Earth. Do you know what that means? It means that everything on our planet evolved to kill. The water is full of predators with teeth longer than your fingers. The land is covered with creatures that hunt in packs, that set traps, that poison their prey. Even the plants are dangerous. Some of them eat animals. Some of them produce chemicals that stop your heart. Another step forward, the soldiers shifted nervously. Our atmosphere is corrosive. It rusts metal. It burns through organic compounds. We breathe it every moment of every day and it makes us stronger. Our gravity is heavy enough to crush the bones of most species. We walk through it like it is nothing. Doctor was now standing directly in front of Al. The squad leader's rifle was pressed against the doctor's chest, but did not seem to notice. I have broken 17 bones in my lifetime. I have been shot twice. I have survived 3 diseases that were supposed to be fatal. I once operated on a patient for 26 hours without stopping, and then I walked home and made dinner for my family. He smiled, and there was nothing friendly in that smile. We are not soft. We are the most durable species in the known galaxy. We simply choose not to use that durability for violence. Al's scales rippled with unease. You are trying to scare us with words. It will not work. I am not trying to scare you, said. I am trying to educate you. There is a difference. He stepped back and gestured at the humans behind him. Every person you see here has made a choice. They could have joined the military. They could have become soldiers, fighters, killers. Humans are very good at killing. We have been doing it for thousands of years. We killed each other. We killed the animals on our world. We killed so many things that we had to make rules to stop ourselves. He pointed at a young woman with red hair. That is Nurse Kelly. She grew up on a colony that was attacked by raiders when she was 12. She watched her parents die. She could have become a soldier to get revenge. Instead, she became a nurse to save lives. He pointed at an older man with a bald head. That is Dr. Singh. He was a combat medic in 3 different wars. He has pulled wounded soldiers out of burning buildings while bullets flew past his head. He could have become a general. Instead, he became a surgeon. Looked back at Al. Everyone on this ship made the same choice. Healing instead of harming, saving instead of killing. That choice is the only reason you are still breathing. Al's grip tightened on his rifle. What do you mean? I mean that the humans who did not make that choice are coming for you right now. The cargo bay fell silent. Even the hum of the plasma rifles seemed to fade. Reached into his pocket. Every soldier tensed, ready to fire. But all he pulled out was a small device, no bigger than his thumb. A single light on its surface blinked red. This is a quantum beacon. It sends a signal that cannot be blocked, cannot be faked, and cannot be traced. The moment your boarding pods hit our hull, it activated. Right now, every human ship in 3 sectors knows exactly where we are. They know we are being attacked, and they know who is attacking us. He put the beacon back in his pocket. The military ships are fast, much faster than your raider. I estimate they will be here in less than an hour, and when they arrive, they will not be interested in talking. Al stared at the doctor. For the first time, something like fear flickered in his yellow eyes. You are lying. Your ships are too far away. Perhaps, said, or perhaps you do not know as much about human technology as you think. Either way, you will find out soon enough. He turned his back on the armed soldiers and walked toward his medical staff. It was a gesture of complete disrespect, showing that he did not consider them a threat. Take whatever you want from the cargo bay, he said over his shoulder. We will not stop you, but I suggest you work quickly. You do not have much time. Al wanted to shoot the human. He wanted to prove that they were not afraid of anyone. But something in his voice, something in the calm certainty of his words, made Al hesitate. He had heard stories about. Everyone had. Stories about creatures that could survive anything, that healed from wounds that would kill other species, that kept fighting long after they should have been dead. He had always thought they were exaggerations. Now he was not so sure. Search the cargo, he ordered his troops. Move fast, we leave as soon as the ship is stripped. As his soldiers rushed to obey, Al looked back at Doctor. The human was standing with his staff, speaking to them in quiet tones. He was not watching the at all. It was the behavior of someone who knew exactly how this was going to end. And that scared Al more than any weapon ever could. Commander walked through the corridors of the Nightingale like he owned them. His boots made heavy sounds against the metal floor. His guards walked behind him, their weapons ready for any sign of trouble. But there was no trouble. The humans stepped aside when he passed. They did not fight. They did not argue. They simply watched him with eyes that gave nothing away. It was wrong. All of it was wrong. Had raided dozens of ships in his career. He had attacked colonies, cargo vessels, passenger liners. Every time the victims had reacted the same way. Fear, panic, desperate attempts to hide or escape. It was natural. It was the way prey behaved when predators came. These humans were not behaving like prey. He found Captain in the medical bay, standing next to a display screen. She turned when he entered, and she showed no surprise at seeing him. It was as if she had been waiting. "Commander," she said. Her voice was polite but cold. "I hope your soldiers are finding everything they need." Stopped a few meters away from her. "They are. Your cargo is worth a great deal. The hegemony will be pleased." "I'm sure they will be." Touched the display screen and a star map appeared in the air between them. Dozens of small dots were scattered across the map, most of them red, a few of them blue. "Do you know what these are?" Looked at the map without interest. "Points on a map, what does it matter?" "These red dots are human medical ships. Right now, this moment, 14 of them are providing aid to non-human colonies across this sector of space." She moved her finger across the map, highlighting one dot after another. "This one is treating a disease outbreak on a farming world. This one is delivering vaccines to a Morth colony near the border. This one is training doctors at a university." She paused and looked directly at. "And this one is in space." Felt his scales tighten. "What?" Zoomed in on one of the red dots. Information appeared next to it. Ship name, location, current mission. The UHMS Hippocrates. Last year there was a plague on the colony of Prime. It was a new disease, something the local doctors had never seen before. It spread fast. Thousands of people were dying every day. Remembered the reports. Prime was a minor colony on the edge of hegemony space. When the plague hit, the government had decided it was not worth saving. The resources needed to stop the disease would have been better used elsewhere. The colony was left to die. "Your government sent no help," continued. "Too expensive, too far away, not important enough." Her voice was flat, stating facts without emotion. But the Hippocrates was in the area. Doctor and her crew changed course to help. They worked for 63 days without rest. They developed a treatment. They trained local doctors. They saved 800,000 lives. She tapped the screen again, and a name appeared. Or agricultural administrator, 34 years old, wife and 3 children, she looked at. "Your cousin, Commander." Could not speak, his throat felt tight. "He sent us a message after he recovered," said, thanking us for saving his family. "It was a nice message, very sincere." She turned off the display and stepped closer too. He did not step back, but he wanted to. "Commander, I want you to understand something. Humanity learned long ago that the species who helped others survived. The ones who only took, the ones who only conquered, they all died out eventually. They made too many enemies. They had no one to help them when trouble came." She spread her hands. "We decided to take a different path. We heal everyone, every species, every colony, every world. We do not ask for payment. We do not ask for loyalty. We simply help because helping is what keeps us alive." "That is weakness," said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Is it?" Smiled slightly. "Commander, when you attack our medical ships, you are not just making an enemy of humanity. You are making an enemy of every species whose children we have saved, every government whose plagues we have cured, every colony we have pulled back from the edge of death." She tilted her head, studying him like a scientist studying a specimen. "Do you know how many species that is? How many governments? How many billions of people across the galaxy who owe their lives to ships like this one?" Said nothing. All of them, said softly. "Eventually, we get to all of them." One of his guards stepped forward. "Commander, we should return to the ship. The cargo is almost loaded." Held up a hand to silence the guard. His mind was racing. He had expected this raid to be simple: attack a defenseless ship, take its cargo, leave before anyone could respond. Standard piracy. But nothing about this was standard. "You are trying to frighten me into releasing you," he said. "It will not work. The hegemony does not bow to threats." "I am not threatening you," said. "I am explaining the situation. There is a difference." She walked past him toward the door of the medical bay. Her guards did not stop her. She moved like she was the one in control, not him. "Your cousin or has children," she said without turning around. "2 boys and a girl. The youngest is named after you. Did you know that?" Felt something cold settle in his stomach. When the plague was killing everyone on Prime, Little was the sickest of all. He was 3 years old. The local doctors said he would not survive the night. Stopped at the door and looked back. Doctor stayed by his bed for 40 hours. She refused to sleep until his fever broke. She held his hand and told him stories about Earth, about the animals and the oceans and the mountains. Her eyes met his. He calls her grandmother now. He sends her drawings every month, pictures of his family, his friends, his home. She paused. The home that still exists because we chose to help. His claws were digging into his palms. He could feel blood running between his fingers. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want you to understand what you are destroying," said. "Not just supplies, not just a ship. You are destroying the trust that keeps this galaxy from falling into chaos. You are proving that kindness can be punished. You are teaching every species watching that it is safer to carry guns than medicine." She shook her head slowly. "That is a lesson humanity does not want anyone to learn, and we will do whatever is necessary to make sure they forget it." Opened his mouth to respond, but before he could speak, an alarm began to wail throughout the ship. Red lights flashed. His communicator buzzed with urgent signals. "Commander," the voice of his tactical officer was high with panic. "Multiple ships dropping out of FTL 12. No, 14 contacts. They're human military vessels." Smiled. "I told you," she said quietly. "Consequences." Stared at her for one long moment. Then he turned and ran for the boarding pods, shouting orders to his troops. Watched him go. Her smile faded, replaced by something harder. "Run," she whispered. "It won't help." The bridge of the Fang of Conquest erupted into chaos. Tactical displays filled with warning symbols. Alarms screamed from every console. Officers shouted over each other, trying to make sense of what was happening. Commander pushed through the confusion and stared at the main. His blood turned cold. 12 human warships hung in space around his vessel. They had appeared from nowhere, dropping out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. Each ship was positioned exactly where it needed to be to cut off any escape route. Their weapons were already charged, already aimed, already waiting. The largest ship was directly between the Fang of Conquest and the Nightingale. It was massive, nearly twice the size of his own vessel. Its hull was covered with gun ports and missile tubes, each one glowing with readiness. The name painted on its side was visible even from this distance. Yue Chen Retribution. "Shields up," shouted. "All weapons online, prepare for combat." His tactical officer looked at him with wide eyes. "Commander, their weapons are already locked onto us. If we raise our shields, they'll take it as a hostile action. They'll open fire before we can even." I know, slammed his fist against the command console. How did they get here so fast? How did they know where to find us? Before anyone could answer, every screen on the bridge flickered. A human face appeared, replacing all other displays. It was a woman, older, with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back in a tight knot. Her uniform was crisp and dark, covered with symbols of rank that did not recognize but understood instinctively. This was someone who commanded death. Vessel. Her voice was flat and hard, like stone grinding against stone. I am Admiral of the United Human Navy. You have attacked a medical ship bearing the Crimson Cross. Under the Terran Articles of War, this is classified as a crime against sentient life. Tried to speak, but the Admiral was not finished. You have 30 seconds to release all hostages, return all stolen materials, and surrender your vessel to human custody. If you do not comply, I am authorized to use any force necessary to neutralize your ship. The screen flickered again, showing a countdown timer, 30 seconds. His mind raced. His ship was fast, but not fast enough to outrun 12 warships. His weapons were powerful, but not powerful enough to fight a fleet. He had walked into a trap without even knowing it existed. On the Nightingale, Doctor stood in the cargo bay and watched the soldiers freeze. They had been loading supplies onto transport pods, working quickly to strip the ship before anyone could respond. Now they stood motionless, their hands still gripping crates and boxes, their eyes fixed on that showed the human fleet surrounding them. Al, the squad leader, lowered his rifle slowly. His scales had gone pale, losing their dark shine. "How?" he whispered. "How did they get here so fast?" Walked toward him, his footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. "Did you think we were bluffing? Did you think our distress signal was just for show?" He stopped an arm's length from the soldier. Humanity learned something important when we first went to the stars. We learned that the galaxy is dangerous. We learned that there are species out there who see kindness as weakness, who see mercy as an invitation to attack. He looked at where Admiral's countdown was ticking toward 0. So we made a choice. We decided that our healers would never carry weapons. They would trust completely in their mission of mercy. But in exchange, our warriors would protect them absolutely. Every human warship in the galaxy is linked to our medical fleet. When a hospital ship sends a distress signal, the nearest military vessels drop everything and respond. 20 seconds. Smiled, and there was no warmth in it. You thought we were soft because we chose to heal. You thought we were weak because we did not fight. You were wrong. We are not weak. We simply have different soldiers for different jobs. He pointed at those soldiers out there have one job: protect the healers, punish anyone who threatens them. They train for it every day. They dream about it every night. And they have been waiting for an excuse to do it for a very, very long time. 15 seconds. Al's rifle clattered to the floor. He raised his hands above his head. Around him, the other soldiers did the same. "We surrender," Al said. His voice was barely a whisper. On the bridge of the Fang of Conquest, watched his options disappear one by one. His weapons officer reported that the human ships had already calculated firing solutions. His navigation officer reported that every escape route was blocked. His communication officer reported that the human admiral was still waiting for a response. 10 seconds. "Commander," his first officer said quietly, "we cannot win this fight. We will be destroyed in the first exchange." Knew he was right. The humans had planned this perfectly. They had used their medical ship as bait, knowing that someone would eventually attack it. They had positioned their warships just close enough to respond instantly, just far enough away to avoid suspicion. And now they had him trapped. 5 seconds. He thought about his honor. He thought about his duty to the hegemony. He thought about the glory of dying in battle against a superior enemy. Then he thought about his cousin on Prime, about the human doctor who had saved his cousin's children, about the little boy named after him who was alive because someone had chosen mercy over violence. 2 seconds. Closed his eyes. "Stand down," he said. "All weapons offline, shields down, signal our surrender." 1 second. The countdown stopped. Admiral's face reappeared on the. Her expression had not changed at all. "Commander, your surrender is accepted. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with immediate destruction." "Understood," said. The word tasted like ash in his mouth. On the Nightingale, Captain stepped onto the bridge just in time to see the raider go dark. Its weapons powered down. Its engines fell silent. It drifted in space like a dead thing, surrounded by wolves. Lieutenant turned to her with wide eyes. "They surrendered. They actually surrendered." Nodded slowly. "They made the smart choice." "What happens now?" Watched as human boarding pods launched from the Retribution, heading toward the captured raider. Now they face justice. The Galactic Council will hold a tribunal. The hegemony will be forced to answer for the actions of their soldiers. There will be consequences. She turned away from the. "But that is not our concern. We have a mission to complete. The colony on 4 is still waiting for their supplies." Stared at her. "Captain, we were just attacked. Our ship was boarded. Doesn't that change anything?" Smiled gently. "Lieutenant, I have been doing this for 20 years. This is not the first time someone has tried to stop us from helping people. It will not be the last, but we do not let attacks change our mission. We heal. That is what we do. That is who we are." She put a hand on his shoulder. "Let the warriors do their job. We have our own work to do." Took a deep breath and nodded. "Yes, Captain." Walked to her command chair and sat down. Outside the windows, she could see the human warships holding their positions around the captured raider. They would stay there until the crew was transferred to custody. They would escort the Nightingale to 4 to make sure no one else tried to interfere. And then they would fade back into the darkness between stars, waiting for the next time someone made the mistake of attacking a human medical ship. It was a good system. Healers and warriors working together, each one doing what they did best. The galaxy was learning to respect it. The Galactic Council chamber was the largest room in known space. Its walls curved upward like the inside of a shell, covered with seats for representatives from 1,000 different species. Lights floated in the air without any visible support, casting soft illumination on the gathered diplomats and politicians. Today, the chamber was full. Word of the incident in the corridor had spread across the galaxy like fire across dry grass. Every species wanted to know what had happened. Every government wanted to understand what it meant for them. Ambassador walked to the speaking platform in the center of the chamber. She was a tall woman with dark hair and eyes that had seen too much to be surprised by anything. She had been humanity's voice on the council for 15 years, and in that time, she had learned exactly how to make an audience listen. "Honored representatives," she began, "1 week ago, a ship belonging to the hegemony attacked the UHMS Nightingale, a medical vessel carrying supplies to a colony in need. The crew of the Nightingale was held hostage. Their cargo was stolen. Their ship was damaged." She paused, letting the words sink in. The attackers believed they were striking at a weak target. They saw a ship without weapons, crewed by healers instead of soldiers, and they thought it would be easy prey. Her voice hardened. They were wrong. She touched a control on the speaking platform, and a holographic display appeared above her head. It showed the corridor, with the positions of all the ships involved clearly marked. Within 47 minutes of the attack, 14 United Human Navy warships arrived on the scene. The raider was surrounded and forced to surrender. Its crew is now in human custody, awaiting trial for crimes against sentient life. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Many species had wondered how the human military had responded so quickly. Now they were about to learn. I am going to explain something that humanity has never officially revealed to this council, said. I do this now because I believe it is time for the galaxy to understand who we are and why we do what we do. She changed the display. Now it showed a star map of the entire known galaxy. Red dots appeared, scattered across every sector, every region, every corner of map space. These red dots represent human medical ships. There are currently 112 of them operating throughout the galaxy. They carry no weapons. They answer no calls for military aid. Their only mission is to heal the sick, treat the wounded, and save the lives of anyone who needs help. She added blue dots to the map. There were even more of them, clustered in groups around the red ones. These blue dots represent human military ships, warships, carriers, destroyers. Each one is positioned within rapid response distance of at least one medical vessel. They are not there to guard trade routes or protect colonies. They have one purpose and one purpose only, to protect the healers. The chamber fell silent. When a medical ship sends a distress signal, the nearest military vessels respond immediately. They do not wait for orders. They do not ask for permission. They simply go. Looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of representatives from a dozen different species. This is not a threat. It is a promise. Anyone who attacks our healers will face our warriors. Anyone who harms those who have sworn to save lives will answer for it. The ambassador rose from his seat. His scales were pale and his voice was unsteady. Ambassador, the hegemony has already apologized for the actions of Commander. He acted without authorization. He will be punished. What more do you want from us? Turn to face him. I want you to understand, Ambassador. I want everyone in this chamber to understand. She walked toward the section of the chamber, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Humanity is a young species. We have been part of the galactic community for less than 200 years. In that time, we have built a reputation as warriors, survivors. Many species fear us because of what we can do in battle. She stopped in front of the ambassador. But that is not who we are. That is not what defines us. We are healers first. We chose to extend our hands in help before we extended them in violence. We built medical ships before we built warships. We trained doctors before we trained soldiers. She pointed at the star map, still floating above the speaking platform. Every one of those red dots represents a choice to save lives instead of taking them, a choice to help strangers instead of ignoring them, a choice to be better than the galaxy expected us to be. Her voice dropped to something quiet and cold. Our warriors exist to protect those choices. They fight so that our healers can continue to heal. They kill so that our doctors can continue to save lives. And they will never, ever forgive anyone who threatens the people they are sworn to defend. She turned back to the full chamber. The humans have a saying, Ambassador. It comes from our oldest traditions, from the very beginning of our history as healers. Do no harm, but take no shit. Our doctors live by the first half. Our soldiers live by the second. She smiled, and there was nothing friendly in it. I suggest you remember that the next time you see a crimson cross painted on a ship's hull. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, applause began. It started in the sections where humanity had provided the most aid, the whose plagues had been cured by human doctors, the Morth, whose colonies had been saved by human medicine, the whose medical schools had been built by human teachers. It spread from there, growing louder, until nearly the entire chamber was standing and applauding. The ambassador sat back down. He said nothing. There was nothing left to say. 6 months later, the hegemony signed the Terran Medical Conventions. The treaty guaranteed protected status to all humanitarian vessels, regardless of species. It promised that any attack on a medical ship would be treated as a crime against all sentient life, and it acknowledged that humanity had the right to defend its healers by any means necessary. 17 other governments signed the same treaty within the year. More followed after that. The UHMS Nightingale returned to service with its crew intact and its mission unchanged. Captain had refused to repair the scars on the hull where the boarding pods had cut through. She said they were a reminder. "Not for us," she told her crew during a quiet moment between missions. "For everyone else. We survived because we chose to heal, and the galaxy is starting to understand something very important about." She looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there, other medical ships were traveling to other colonies, carrying help to people who needed it. Somewhere behind them, warships watched and waited, ready to respond if anyone tried to stop them. "The most dangerous thing about humans is not our weapons," said softly. "It is not our strength or our endurance or our ability to survive anything the universe throws at us." She smiled, thinking of and his raiders, of the lesson they had learned too late. "The most dangerous thing about us is what happens when you threaten the people we love." The Nightingale continued on its journey, the crimson cross on its hull shining bright against the darkness of space. Behind it, unseen but always present, the wolves followed. They always would.